Before we go into hands-on tips on what makes great ad creatives and copy, we need to take a step back and look at the big picture, your business goals. In this video, you will learn how your objective influences how you evaluate the success of your campaign. And whether your creative approach is effective or not is determined by the outcome your campaign creates. And the outcome takes back to your objectives. So before you get creative, you need to become very clear about what you're trying to achieve. Your objective is also an important element of setting up your campaign on most social media platforms. Most platforms, and we'll later see this on Facebook, will ask you to select a campaign or ad objective, such as website traffic or sales. And the objective you pick will then determine who in your target audience your ad is shown to. In other words, your ad will be shown to the people in your target audience who are most likely to take the action you would like them to take. The objective you set will determine the most important metrics or KPIs you will then later look at to measure the effectiveness of your campaign. Sounds very theoretical, doesn't it? But it doesn't have to be. So let's look at a few examples of how your objective influences the metrics you will use to assess the success of your campaign. Example 1. Your objective is to increase awareness for your brand by reaching people who are most likely to be interested in it. And here you would typically measure the so-called ad recall lift, which shows how many people would remember your ad if they were asked within 2 days after seeing it. Example 2. Your objective is to drive more people to check out your website. Here you would typically measure the number of website visits that you have received as a result of your campaign and what each visit costs you. Example 3. If instead of website visits, your objective was to actually sell products off your website, you would run a campaign that's optimized for conversions. And here you would measure the number of purchases and, more importantly, whether your campaign is producing positive financial results for your business. The metric you would look at is called return on ad spend, ROAS, which is the online marketing equivalent of return on investment, or ROI. ROAS is simply the total revenue generated from your Facebook campaign divided by your total ad spend. So let's assume you spend $5,000 in a month on Facebook ads and they generate $15,000 in new sales for your business. That's a return on ad spend of $15,000 divided by 5,000 is 3x, meaning you made 3 times the revenue of what you put in advertising dollars. Example 4. Your objective is to drive signups for your newsletter. And then you would measure the number of signups, often called leads, that your campaign has created and the cost you incur per lead. And if you have sufficient data to know what percentage of newsletter subscribers ends up becoming buyers and how much they purchase on average, you can also calculate your return on ad spend. And that would allow you to get an even better sense of how effective your campaign was in growing your overall business. So check out the following example. Let's assume you spend $2,000 in a month on Facebook ads and they generate 400 leads for your newsletter. Now let's assume that 20% of them ultimately become buyers, and that's 80 people. Now these 80 people on average bring you $100 in new sales. That's a total of 80 times $100 is $8,000 in new sales. Now we can calculate the ROAS. It's 8,000 divided by 2,000 equals 4, meaning you made 4 times the revenue of what you put in advertising dollars. The most effective campaigns out there, they are rarely built in one attempt. You start with a foundation and then optimize step by step by doing more of what works and less of what doesn't. And that's one of the big advantages of social media advertising. You can test all different components of an ad and then optimize as you go. Your KPIs will tell you what is working and what isn't for you. With your objective clear, get specific about the key message of your campaign. Your key message should be supported by all the elements of your ad, both the visual and the verbal ones. And only if all elements are aligned closely, you have the best chances for success. A quick note about resources. Depending on whether you work in a big organization or you are self-employed, you might have different resources at your disposal to create copy and visuals. And we'll go into tips on how to work effectively with larger teams of experts later, but if you're all by yourself, don't worry. The beauty of social media advertising is that it's very accessible. and you have the same chances for success even if your resources are limited. With your campaign objective in mind, we're now ready to get creative. In the next video, we'll go over a number of tips for crafting compelling visuals so you can create ads that stand out.